Hello, I'm Otaku Zach, and this is not what I thought my first video in years would be. So, one of the shows I really love is RWBY. I've been a fan since the Red trailer came out, and even cosplay John Arc. Now, to get back to the main topic of this video, a little while back, this video showed up in my recommendations section on YouTube, where the Twiins and a few of our friends designed RWBY teams with the concept of if the main characters of the show had children, and those children went to Beacon and formed their own team. And after watching this video, it got my creative brain thinking, and I felt compelled to create my own team of RWBY kids. Now, this video represents my own ideas and concepts of what I think are the most likely pairings at the time of this video's upload. So, right at the end of Volume 8. With that said, let's go! First up is the daughter of Ruby Rose and John Arc. Now, I really like the pairing of Ruby and John. It is my own headcanon that John was the first one to volunteer to help Ruby with her journey. And yes, I know that it's the whole avenging Pyrrha thing as well, but I think there was a bit of, she's my friend and I really want to help her out as well. And Noah Vrend just tagged along after John volunteered. And I feel there's been quite a few scenes where one or both of them has seen the other in a strong light. Now, let's also face it, with 7 sisters, John's probably doomed to have a daughter no matter what. Meet Rose Arc, and she is based on Little Bo Peep. Her primary color is pink with gold and white accents. For a weapon, I took elements from both John and Ruby's weapons to create hers. Instead of a sniper rifle like Ruby's weapon, it is a shorter range tactical rifle with an axe head on top of it that can detach to form a shield, which she could punch things with, and perhaps have a wild mechanism inside so she can fling it around yo-yo style. For the name, I thought that Ruby may want to keep the Rose name going in some way. Also, if you combine Ruby's reds with John's whites and golds, you get Rose Gold, which usually appears pink. And I kept Ruby's two-tone hair color, but made it pinkle rather than red, to keep the color going. For her semblance, it's called Lost and Found. She can find anything or anyone that she can think of, as long as they are in viewing distance, even if it's behind a wall or buried. So, Little Bo Peep lost her sheep and all, but this time she can actually find them. For her personality, it's laid back and very messy. Always misplacing things and never bothering to put anything away since she can always find them using her semblance. Another thing of note is that one of the things that's always bugged me about most of the girls in RWBY is that they don't wear armor. So I made a point to give Rose a bit of armor. A bonnet-shaped pauldron and a gauntlet on her left arm, which the gauntlet also functions as the combining part for her axe shield. And a bit of skirt armor as well. I also took heavy inspiration from Ruby's original design, and to give her a hood, I decided to turn it into a sheep pelt instead, which calls back to her literary inspiration while also giving some nods to her mother's design. In my opinion, the color, the name, and even how I turned the stock of the gun into a shepherd's hook, it all turned out really well. But I might have put a little too much black on her. Next up, we have the daughter of Weiss and Neptune. Now, Weiss has only ever shown interest in one person throughout the show so far, as long as you disregard the Cinderella attitude she throws towards RWBY once in a while. So Neptune it is, since there is not many other good options that make sense to me. Sky Snee is based off of Odette from Swan Lake. I really wanted some ballet representation on this team, and since I'm a big fan of Princess Tutu, Odette seemed to be a good fit to work off of Weiss's original aesthetics. Again, I wanted some armor on her, so she is not going to be as acrobatic a fighter as her mother is. But, in my opinion, the armored ballerina came together surprisingly well. I'm also trying to incorporate the main color from the other team members into each design. For Sky, the belt at her hips and her leggings has those colors. I made Sky's main color sky blue with silver accents. Her hair is styled in a double braid and a loose ponytail, and is a whitish blue mix, blending the hair colors of her two parents. I added a wing aesthetic to her skirt armor and to her hairpiece to call back to swan wings. Her weapon is a spear with a head that's shaped like a flower, with one of the petals extended into the actual point. From the center of the flower she can shoot out dust, much like Weiss's rapier. She also inherited the Sneeze family semblance. Unlike Rose, she is very neat and proper and loves the fine arts, often spending her spare time practicing ballet, painting, or even sketching landscapes. Overall, I am surprised with how well she came out. The armor ballerina design, while still having that snee aesthetic to her, worked out quite well. I could have a lot of fun imagining how her fighting style would be. Well, actually, I could do that with all these characters. But for now, on to the next one! Now, I had a hard time deciding what the next couple's child would be, so I decided to roll a dice and it came up male. So now we have the son of Blake and Yang. And instead of adopting, I decided that Sun should be the donor, since Sun has helped out Blake a lot, and I feel that he would still be supportive in Yang's and Blake's relationship in any way he could. So, this is Oren, based off of King Louis of the Jungle Book, and his primary color is orange with brown accents. If you haven't put it together yet, I'm trying to keep the concept of the names being based on the colors, much like their parents. I tried my best to keep Oren's design as ambiguous as possible to whom the mother actually was. Is it Blake or is it Yang? How did that night play out? No one really knows, except for them. I tried to give him a real confident but laid back adventurer's feel to his design. Of course, he is a monkey faunus. Because of how faunus genetics work, he has to be a monkey. His semblance allows him to ignite his aura on fire and shoot it out, calling back to his literary inspiration and how King Louis wanted to attain fire. For his weapons, I combined pretty much all three of his parents together. Single-barreled hand-pumped shotguns attached with a stretchy ribbon to a dagger on the other end, with the guard having a hook shape to it so it can be used as a grappling hook to swing around on, or hooked onto opponents to bring them in for some close combat. Now, I wanted his combat style to be very acrobatic, so I didn't give him any armor. Using the stretchy ribbon on his weapons to leap and swing around the battlefield, and using them as well, like rope darts, swinging them wildly to attack his opponents. I snuck in a black cat into the yellow band on his hat since he loves both his moms. As far as his personality, I feel he would be the type to be ready for action at any moment, but also would be perfectly happy just sitting in a tree reading a book. Intelligent, but always willing to take a risk. By far, this is the most challenging character out of the group to design. Finding another literary monkey character took me a while to do, and then coming up with the name took me even longer than I would like to admit. The only thing that seemed to come to me easily was the weapon design, but in the end, I think the base idea of the design came out quite well. Okay, unlike the video that inspired this one, I decided to bring Nora and Ren's child in, which I actually had a different idea originally, but then I had this one, and it was so good I just had to use it. And I shouldn't have to explain Nora's and Ren's relationship to anybody, so let's jump right in. Meet Olive Wren, based on Pippi Longstocking, with olive green being her main color. Despite the fact I made her hair red, it just kinda made too much sense to make it red. I incorporated both Western and Eastern fashion into her design while trying to keep the zaniness that Pippi Longstocking is known for, and Nora is also known for. Unfortunately, I completely forgot to give her armor other than the bit on her boots. I do enjoy the clash of styles that makes her feel zany and spontaneous. Her weapons are based on brass knuckles with guns attached at the bottom. I feel that her fighting style would very much be up close and personal, punching things as hard as she could. Her semblance allows her to increase her strength over the period of 10 minutes, reaching 100% of that strength at the 5-minute mark. A bit of a slow start, but quickly becomes a threat and rarely needs to get up to 100%. Her personality is the same as her mother's, crazy, unpredictable, and full of life. There are a few things I wouldn't mind changing with this design. I would like to add more armor to her arms and legs. Maybe have her shorts be a little more baggy. But for someone raised by Nora and Ren, this design makes sense to me. Now I said I had another idea for Ren's and Nora's child, and this is it. Meet RWBY, based on Amaterasu. I had the idea for Olive halfway through designing her, so I kind of just gave up and finished the rest of her design quickly. Her main color is purple. I went with a more Eastern influence for her outfit. Her weapon is based off of one of Amaterasu's most well-known and popular stories, which involves Amaterasu catching her own reflection in a mirror. So I gave her a simple longsword and a shield that's also a mirror with a gun on the underside, or if I gave it a little more thought and design time, built into the shield somehow, which would play into her semblance that would allow her to bind a target with spirit chains whenever they got into the reflection of the shield. If I had to spin a narrative with this character, I would probably make her Olive's older sister, where she would already be graduated and an active huntress. Definitely need more work on her. Her weapon design definitely needs another run through, and probably needs something more on her upper thigh, showing a bit too much skin there. And more armor for sure, other than the corset that Nora had in her first costume design. So here are my ideas for what I think the next generation of RWBY would look like. I'm terrible at wordplay, so no team names yet. I'd like to thank Twiins for giving me this idea. Go check out her video if you enjoyed this one, link in the description. And perhaps I've inspired you to make your own designs. If not, I would love to see these characters rendered in a different art style, or give me some suggestions of what I could do better. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, keep that geek culture I love so much alive.